Alright guys, this is going to be the first session of basket making. I'm going to show you in this video how you can begin your basket, which is going to be the most difficult part of starting this project. And then in future videos I'll go in and show you how you could add little beads and extra little details and things like that. Now you're going to have two different options in class. You can either work with yarn, which this one is made out of, or you can work with a raffia material, which looks a little bit more natural and traditional to some of the original baskets that were created. So I'm going to leave the materials up to you guys. As you build your basket, you could turn it into a form kind of like a bowl, but the first thing we want to do is start a nice base like this so we can start to build upon it. So everyone's going to start out, you're going to need to pick a color yarn or raffia. You're going to need a embroidery needle. You are going to need a pair of scissors and your core medium. I think I might have already said that, but I forget. So what you want to do is you want to go in and you want to split the ends approximately an inch down. So it's going to look something like this. You're going to want to separate it so that you have 2/3 on one side and 1/3 on the other. You're then going to go in and you are going to cut 2/3 of it off. So you just have a little part like this. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be weaving this back into our basket so that we can make a nice little loop in the center. So I'm going to go ahead, and you don't want to work directly from the yarn spool or the raffia spool. You want to work with smaller pieces at a time. Number one, so you could change color, and number two, it's going to be really hard for you to continuously wrap this material if it's attached to something. So I would say start out with a piece approximately your arm's length. If you were to spread them out all the way, that's usually a good amount to start with. You're then going to want to link either your raffia or your yarn onto your embroidery needle like that. So just a little bit through, just enough so that we can use it. We're then going to start with the opposite end that the embroidery needle is attached to. And we're going to go in and we're going to take the two sides and we're going to line them up facing each other. You want to go, I'm going to say approximately an inch for this section. You're going to hold it down and you're going to just start wrapping your material directly next to each other. And when you get to the end, we're then going to take it and we're going to fold it in half. So you're going to get something like that that looks like a loop. I'm going to raise the camera a little bit better so you could see. So I have a nice little loop like this. So after you're done doing that, we're going to take the needle that's attached to it and we're just going to go up through the center. And we're going to just do a few different stitches going in the opposite directions. And it's going to be called a figure 8 stitch. So we're going to go up. And we're going to wrap it over this way, and then we're going to go up and we're going to wrap it underneath the other way. Now after you get that going, we're going to take this little extra piece and we're just going to hold it and we're going to continue to wrap our yarn again. So you want to start wrapping, you want to make sure that you can't see any of the base core material going through, and you're just going to wrap. And I say usually about every 1/2 inch, we're going to go in and we're going to attach it to the center. So it's not going to be perfect, but if you don't attach it approximately every 1/2 inch or so, you're going to have a lot of spaces in your basket. So all we're going to do is go up through the center, and then we're going to take this and we're going to tuck it underneath the core medium. Now if you guys can see, that kind of makes almost like a little crisscross shape. We're then going to pull that together as tight as we can to start to form a circle. I'm then going to go in and I'm going to continue and repeat and do the same exact thing again. So I'm going to wrap about a 1/2 inch. And this is the hardest part starting out. Once you get the first layer done, it's gonna get way easier from here. So once again, you can see I have a space in there. I'm gonna take my material, I went up through the center, and then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna wrap it underneath, and I'm gonna have that little X like that. If you don't have that little X, it means you're not doing it correctly, and I could absolutely help you adjust that. And then you're just gonna pull it nice and tight, and you'll see something starting to form like that. So I'm gonna put this one down so I could show you guys as you progress along how you could start to shape your basket a little bit, because you'll probably get to that point today. So I'm gonna put this down. And this was the piece that I had started with the raffia. You're gonna wanna create a base for your bowl or your little coil yarn vase, whatever you choose to do. And the base is just going to be something disc shaped like this. Once you have the size of the base, and I would recommend going minimally 5 to 6 coils out for your base. After that, when you pull your yarn or raffia, you're gonna gradually start pulling it so that these stack directly on top of one another. So I hope that makes sense, and I'll help you guys, like I said, in class, but I'm not gonna sit here and go and do a whole level because I don't wanna waste too much of your time. But you're just gonna be stacking them, and eventually you'll start to have something that looks like this. One more thing I'm gonna go over in this video is what you're gonna wanna do if you run out of your core material. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this one a little bit. So say I get to the end and I have about this much space left and I can't add any more onto my basket. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add in a new piece of core material. Now you can't just directly attach it to here or else it's not going to stay. So we're going to do the same thing we did in the beginning, and we're going to split this. Rather in thirds, we're going to split it directly in half. Like I said, nothing is going to be perfect, but the best you can. And you're going to cut half of it on a diagonal. So you're going to have something like that. You're then going to take another piece of core material. We're going to split this one in half as well. And then we're going to line them up so that it's going to create an even amount. So by taking half of this one and half of the other one and tying them together like this, it's going to make it much easier. After that, you're just going to hold them together when you start wrapping. And as you wrap your material over, that core piece is just going to get attached and wrapped in the basket. So it's going to be like it never was separated at all. So that's all I'm going to go over today. You want to make sure that you have at least a pair or two of scissors at every table. I'm going to have you guys go ahead and pick out a color yarn or raffia you want to use to start with, maybe a few beads, and you're probably going to want a piece of core material. I'm going to say maybe like this big to start out with, and then we'll add in more as we go. So this is the end of step 1, and we're going to go from there.